Hey, welcome everyone, and thank you for joining us to the podcast of Web3m. You're here with me, Omer from Web3m, the head of community, and Erzel, the CMO and the co-founder of Web3m.
Hello everyone, nice to be here.
Erzel here is to answer any questions from the community that we have. So as we mentioned in the community, Web3m just released its data network and our members had a lot of questions. We're gonna cover the first question for today. So the question from the community is, what's the difference between the data that we have today on the Web 2 to the data that we have on the Web 3 and how the data on Web works?
Okay, so to cover this great question about the difference, let's first discuss what is a data network in general. So the concept, the idea of data network is that, as you know, in today's internet, data is currency, data is power. So everything is powered by data. Data about users, about behavior, about activities, about interests. Knowing about a user is power to the company, to the advertiser, to any entity that wants to create an experience or advertise or do anything for or provide any service to the user. So data network is the bank, a pool of data that is being gathered. Now, for this pool of data to exist, you have to have two sides. It's like a marketplace of data. You have to have the supply of data, like companies, websites that contribute the data about users. And this is happening today by something we call pixels, like codes that websites or companies implement on their website, and this way they save the data, they gather the data, and then send it to the large tech companies like Facebook or Google to save, to keep this data, and then later on to utilize it to anything. This is a data network. Now, as Omer said, we just announced that we are building the first Web3 decentralized data network, meaning we're going to build the data network for crypto companies, for Web3 companies, and this is going to be very different than the concept we know today. So, in two sentences, what's different in our data network? What's different about the data that we gather and the way that we utilize data in comparison to what we know about how Google and Facebook does that? So, when saying that we build a decentralized data network, we mean that we build a pool of data that is being stored on the blockchain. Okay, it's not controlled, it's not centralized by Web3m or by any other entity. Meaning that users' data or the internet's data is going to be stored in a decentralized place and not, be controlled by any entity.
So basically, every data that Web3m will collect from the users will be saved on a decentralized platform, or
Yes,
basically the blockchain.
You can refer it as a decentralized server, which is the blockchain. It's
Blockchain,
think
okay,
about
itself.
It, where today in today's world you have Google and Facebook that keep the data on their servers, and they're basically controlling our data. Like my information and your information are not ours when thinking about it in the internet. It's theirs. They sell our information. They sell our access to ads. They show us advertisements, because they know everything about us, and then they sell the ability to advertise to us to advertisers, meaning they control the data 100%. So yeah, the first benefit when I say decentralized data network, I mean it's going to be stored on the blockchain, making it more secured, more encrypted for those who data is important for them.
But if it's secure, like, and it's on the blockchain, it doesn't mean that it's like exposed to everyone. If it's on the blockchain, everyone can see the data, no?
So
that's the whole point about decentralized.
That's the funny thing about the blockchain. So it is transparent, but then the way we send the information from first place is encrypted. It's like it's a technology called fingerprinting. So we keep the data in an anonymous way under a device. So when you or me scroll the internet, our data is being gathered, the stuff that WebM learn about us and saves about us, it doesn't save under my personal name and picture and ID, but it's saved under my device ID. This is a fingerprint, like a device fingerprint. Okay, we have an ability to keep the data and store the data anonymously and in a very secure way on the blockchain. This is the big benefit of doing that.
But is the fingerprint decentralized as well? Because you said WebM is going to collect all the data from the fingerprint, which will be the devices of the users. So once the user going to go on WebM, or I don't know exactly how WebM is going to collect the data, I believe you're going to explain to us in a minute, and it all starts from the fingerprint, how the fingerprint is decentralized.
That's a great question. Let me try and visualize it for you guys. So the way we collect data is allow companies and websites to implement our pixel, the WebM pixel, within their website, within their code, and they save the data about their users' activity in the website and send it to the data network. And now, how is this method decentralized? How does this fingerprint works? So let's say I scroll through the internet as a user, I just browse on websites that I like, I go into platforms that I like, just use them, and then my data is being sent by those platforms to the data network, and it is stored, like all of the data is stored on the blockchain under a fingerprint, under my device's fingerprint. So if I use my MacBook or my just mobile phone, it has a unique ID, and the information plus the fingerprint ID is stored on the blockchain.
But is it like working automatically?
Yeah. Now the pixel, of course, everything is working behind the scenes automatically and neatly. So when implementing the pixel as a website, I automatically give the approval for WebM to gather the data about my users.
So basically what you're saying is when publishers, which will be like websites that download WebM Pixel, right, and basically help WebM to collect more data and understand better their users, this pixel on each user is going to be under a fingerprint, and this is going to be on the blockchain automatically.
Yes, you have one pixel per website. So as a website, I implement this one pixel and then I collect the data about all of my users. Now, WebM knows how to categorize each user by their fingerprints, meaning when I go into a website, okay, WebM immediately identifies my device fingerprint, and every action, everything that I do on this website is being saved under my fingerprint on the blockchain.
So I have two questions about that. So the first one is what kind of data WebM takes out of the fingerprint? Because as I understood from the conversation here, that is the user go on the publisher's website and WebM collect the data based on the fingerprint, right? And there is like probably categories of info WebM collected about the user.
Of course.
So I would like to know what kind of info it collected and if this is going to be open to everyone to see this data.
So let's start from the second question because it's easier to answer. So the data is going to be stored on the blockchain, but it's not going to be like a front of a store where you can see all the items, exposed to you. So it is going to be encrypted. So no one that come across the data can utilize it or just see anything about you as a user. It's not like that. And also to straighten this point, it is not you as a person holding this data. As I told you, it's a device fingerprint, so it's anonymous. Meaning even if someone could reach your profile, your device fingerprint or profile, they wouldn't know it's you. This is how we balance between, gathering all the information, being secured, being anonymous and decentralized. And now for your second question about the data, I call them data points or pieces of information that we have on users. I, of course, invite everyone to go on our website and see it more in detail. But let me give you just some of the categories or the labels of data that we gather. So it starts from your technical stuff like IP, browser, operating system, and stuff like that. And then we collect behavioral data about users, meaning pages that you visit, history of browsing, of course. And then we can just correlate it into today's Google Analytics. This is the most basic example. So the time spent as a user, time spent on each page on the website, button clicked, form submission, purchases, and stuff like that. Like everything I do on website is being entered. And then the geographic and demographic data, country, city, region, demographics like language that I use, age, gender, and social behaviors like articles and interests that I'm, at, or interests that I have thanks to website and stuff that I do online. And then the other side is the on-chain information, meaning your wallet's activity. So when talking about Web3, we cannot forget that a big part of it is people operating with their wallets. So they have their internet behavior and activity, but then you have what they do with their wallets, like what tokens do they hold, what transaction do they do, or did they do in the past? What are their interests thanks to the NFTs that they hold, for example? Any kind of information or processing of information thanks to what they do on the blockchain is also being gathered. So this combination between their activity online in any website or anything they do mixed with their wallet activity gives us a very comprehensive and powerful profile about each user, of course anonymously, to utilize later on by advertisers, by social medias, for example, that wants to make it personal for you. Now, thanks to this data, they know more about you. Now we aim to connect our data network to every type of company on Web3, including Web3 social medias, where they can utilize the information that we have on users. So when a first-time user go on their platform, they already know their interest, they already know what this user likes, and can customize the experience. This is the other side, other than marketing, other than advertising, which we call personalization.
What's the benefit of publishers like downloading or using WebM Pixel on their websites or social media, etc., what you mentioned?
Yeah. So what is the incentive, as you ask, what is the incentive for companies to implement the Pixel? And also a bonus part is what is the incentive of users from this data network on Web3? Because this is one of our biggest messaging, biggest benefits or agenda. One of the biggest benefits of our company, of this data network, is that we want to be fair for all the parties, meaning we want to be fair for the websites that fuel this data network, that contribute the data, and we want to be fair and rewarding for the users whom data is being sold or used. And so our data network is built in a way that it's for every website that implements WebM Pixel, they will get tokens, they will get rewards for the data they share with the network. Now, the interesting part and the fun part for users is that whenever my data as a user is being shared with WebM, with the network, it doesn't matter which website that I use, share my data, like send my data to the network, I will also get paid for my data being sold, for my data being requested by an advertiser or any social media or anyone at all. Meaning, when a transaction, when like a deal of data is happening, when an advertiser, for example, wishing to buy my data as a user, I will get paid for it. The website that shared my data that's being sold right now will get paid for it, and of course the network is also will be paid for arranging this marketplace of data. But this is like a big thing. This is what we do differently than Google, Facebook, or any other platform or data network exists today, is that we are going to take this market, take this data, industry, and make it beneficial for everyone. Make it fair, make you as a user the owner of your data, having the ability, having the power to earn from your data being sold, and even having the power to choose to stay anonymous and approach to WebM and simply delete every information that we have on you until this very moment. It's also a cool feature that we allow users, but basically this is the vision of WebM, to create a decentralized and fair data network for all the parties, like reward everyone.
So basically, the user get rewards by token and the publishers get rewards by token as well?
Yes, so when you say publisher, let's make it even clearer for people. So the user is getting paid where their data is being sold, right? Or where there's demand for their data. They're getting paid when someone else is paying for that. So they get a friction of the deal, simply as that.
So one a publisher collects data,
Mm-hmm.
and he wants to sell it to someone.
Yeah.
How the publisher knows that let's say I'm there? How does he know that I'm there, and how do I get the profit or the tokens?
That's a great question. So let's visualize it for a moment. So Nike shares my data from browsing their e-commerce store, right?
Okay, yes.
They send a piece of information, a specific piece that I like, sport shoes. Okay, this one piece of data is being sent to the network, to WebM's data network, right? Then a week after, another sports company, for example, wanting to advertise to people who are interested in sports shoes, my profile is 100% good for them. I'm their target audience, right? And then they will request. This is where WebM comes into picture, of course. We are the middleman between the demand and the supply, right? The advertisers and the data providers, right? And the WebM network will offer me, right, as a fingerprint, a specific fingerprint, alongside 200 other people who is the target audience, same as me, right? Who has this attribute. And then WebM in the middle will be connecting this information to the advertiser, and we know about every piece of information, who is the source, who is the website that gave me this information, and who is the user, the fingerprint that this information is about. And this way we can give back to the website.
Based on the fingerprint.
Based on the fingerprint, and after the deal is happened, for example, the advertiser pays WebM, let's say pay $1 for my information.
Okay.
And then this $1 will be splitted by WebM into one third of the dollar will stay at WebM's fund, will be paid to WebM for the service. But then 1/3 will go to the website that contribute this piece of information to Nike. And then the last third of this dollar will go to the user, will go to me as a user.
Who decided about the third? Like,
It's just for of course, it's not the final calculation.
oh, okay.
For this we have to go much deeper, but then this is only for the simple visualization of every party being rewarded, being part of the deal of this data.
Where do they see it? Let's say you split it, like, let's say, for example, X amount of tokens should transfer to me. Where do I see it?
So, as a website or as a user, like every side of this ecosystem will be able to claim the rewards inside WebM platform, which is our app for people to advertise, but also this is the dashboard for everything related to the data network. So if I'm a website that implemented the pixel, I will have a full dashboard to see some analytics about my data, but also to see the amount of rewards, amount of data that I shared, and how is it translated into tokens, and also to claim it. Now, as a user, I also can connect to the WebM platform, to this dashboard of data network, every data you have on me, but also how much of my data has been sold already and what is worth,
Oh,
like how
okay.
much it's worth
So
to me.
as a user, have to connect to the WebM
Yes,
platform,
yes,
and then WebM platform will match the fingerprint
yes,
between the publishers who download that WebM pixel to the fingerprint of my device.
exactly.
And
So,
then once the data will be sold,
mhm.
WebM will know where to split it,
Yes,
like
yes, yes,
obviously
exactly,
automatically. Yes,
exactly.
yes.
So all of the transactions, all of the calculations of how much data, how much of my data as a user has been sold, or how much data that I contributed as a website, all of this information you can approach on WebM dashboard. Meaning WebM eventually will be this entity known for the world, like everyone will know it as the entity that allows this data network to happen, and it will be as another website that you just go in and claim rewards for browsing the internet, simply as that, or claim rewards for the data you shared thanks to the pixel you implemented seamlessly on your website without doing anything else, and just claim rewards for being contributing to the data network. That's it, basically. This is how it works.
Sounds like a really great opportunity for all kind of personas on the Web3. If you a user, advertiser, or publisher, you are all get rewarded.
Exactly, exactly. If you have a company and you want to implement the pixel, you just approach us through our website, web3m.io, and then you can just sign up or apply for implementing the pixel, and then we will send you to the email the pixel to implement, and then you can start monetizing your traffic and your data right away.
Oh, amazing. So where do I find it?
It's called the pixel airdrop.
Oh, that's amazing. So as Ertel mentioned, guys, just go on WebMIO, look for the pixels there, you register or sign up, and then you're good to go. And thanks again for all the information.
Thank you so much for the opportunity, guys. Thank you, Omer. And then one last thing, I want to encourage everyone who is listening right now to just go ahead and ask your questions. So we have a Discord community. I really encourage you guys to go on our Discord, right, and just ask any question regarding the data network, regarding the pixel, regarding how to monetize as a user, regarding how to advertise with the web and platform, which is also our product, and then like anything at all. So this is the real meaning of our community, and we really encourage you to be part of it. So let us know about anything that you care about related to WebM or related to Web3 at all, and we would love to create an episode and answer your questions. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.